Left chords on the left side.
On the left.
Come on, bro.
Are we rolling?
We're rolling.
Is this it?
Do you want to... How's that chord that's going to cut across you?
Is that... Oh.
Fix your mic up a bit.
Off to a flying start.
No, we're good. We are flying.
I can hear my voice as well. That's a bit odd.
Bring it down a bit, though, I think. I think you want to...
Down?
Yeah.
Just like this?
Yeah.
So it looks nice in the frame as well over there. Hello, everyone. And well, welcome to my podcast. And we've got a very special guest today, someone who actually introduced me to podcasting and is the reason why I'm doing it right now. So without anything else to do, here's our guest, Rien Macdonald.
Zach, thank you for having me, mate.
Mate,
Appreciate it.
it's you're a savior, I'll tell you that, because I don't know what I'm doing. And you've been podcasting for the last 4 years.
Yep.
So I really just wanted to bring you on as soon as I could to get some help.
Love it, mate. Well, yeah, I think, you've started this past week. Don't know when this episode will be going out and in context with all the other episodes, but I think you've already recorded like 6 one-on-one interviews with people. So, off to a flying start. So, yeah, excited to chat today and ongoing. I think in this series, from what you've told me, it sounds like it's going to be really good for people curious about creating, not only in podcasting, but in video and then in other sort of areas. So, yeah, man, let's do this.
All right. Well, and I guess that's the thing too, is I haven't even really thought too much about what we're going to talk about today because I've really just jumped in the deep end and, before I get too far down the track, I already had these ideas for podcasting and I decided that rather than thinking about them, I was just going to jump in and do it.
Love it.
So far, the sort of structure for my podcast is Wednesdays is called Back to College, which is a segment where I talk to my friends from college because it was just such an amazing time of my life, the best 4 years I've had. And I met so many incredible people and we did so many crazy things that I'd love to go back and do again. And that's why I wanted to sort of relive those and talk to some of my friends and classmates.
Love it. So that was a Wednesday episode, as you were saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Wednesdays is Back to College. Fridays is going to be sort of, I don't really know what to call it yet, but it's sort of a journal entry where I just sort of talk about maybe what happened during the week or some other past experiences to do with my videography career. Maybe some aspirations. And just, like I said, it's kind of a journal just so I can document things as they happen and go a little bit deeper than rather than, having the super edited short form content or, that sort of thing.
Yeah, well, I think that's something that, brought us together was your incredible ability as a storyteller in the video space. And I mean, earlier this year you did 100 reels in 100 days, which, increase your skill. I think no doubt you could talk to that, but just the practice of like getting something out on a schedule. And in that case, within 24 hours every time, like it's huge. For me in the podcast, I've been a little inconsistent over the 4 years, but 140 odd episodes is still, quite a good output considering that most podcasts don't get past, 10 episodes or 7 episodes, 11 episodes, whatever it is.
Is that right?
It's a changing metric all the time. But yeah, certainly if you've released like 20 episodes, you're in the top few percent, which is pretty cool. So to say I'm well and truly over 100 and my plan will be to be around 200 episodes. It's not solely about those numbers, but yeah, it's an interesting craft. It started 2004 really was when like the dictionary definition of podcasting sort of came to be, but ultimately it's just this, it's audio, but our two worlds coming together of the podcasting from my point of view and with you with the video, I think is going to be really cool. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's fantastic. You're already talking about stuff that I wanted to cover today. And so just to spin back to what this schedule is that I've outlined already, Back to College Wednesdays, journal entries on Fridays, and then Monday's episodes is what we're doing now, which is where I talk to a guest and just sort of figure out more things in the creative space and just learn from people who have, doing better things than I.
Love it. And here we are, working together on this, obviously helping you set up this podcast and you helping me a lot with video, but we both work well together. So, keen to see as well the other creators that you have on. I know you've got a lot of creative mates in all different areas, but then there'll be people that, you don't know yet that'll be keen to come on.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the ultimate goal of this podcast is to document the journey, and that's why I'm starting sooner rather than later. So I guess the first question I want to ask you is, what is a podcast?
Yeah, well, I guess I sort of jumped the gun there and sort of took the reins, classic me being the host of so many episodes. But yeah, like I said before, a podcast is really just a conversation between two or more people on mic discussing, different topics, all manner of different, subjects can be discussed, but really it's just that. Over the years, more video has been incorporated into it, but if you think of it as just like, a radio show or an audio thing that can be streamed at any point and downloaded is what I would say, a podcast is.
Right. Yeah, that's good to sort of paint that picture a little bit. And I think I'm curious because I probably got into this because of the video component, because now it's a little bit more common for people to actually have a video component and segment for their audio as well.
Yeah, there is. I mean, we've got 3 cameras here pointing at us. We've done a really good setup. I mean, you've done most of it on the video side. You're a jet at that, obviously, but yeah, bringing that component in, I think the world's been going that way for a long time. Obviously, there's been movies in cinema for however many years. I'm not even going to try to guess, but like that industry is massive in and of itself. And then you've got podcasts, like I said, that's been around coming on 20 years now, but it's only really been the last few years where, more and more podcasts are doing video. And I couldn't tell you the loss of potential growth that I have maybe had in not recording video in my podcast, The Hope Initiative. Not that I'm like upset about that or anything, because you've got to start somewhere and you've got to do what you can do. And if you can't do, video and you can just do audio, well, that's great. Most people have a smartphone, iPhone, whatever these days, which has a simple mic. Yes, it has a video as well, but like just start where you are. And, you're starting at a pretty high bar, I think it's fair to say, but there's, a reason as to why you've also come a long way, I think, in the first, or the last few years. So it's good, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm setting the bar high because I have these video production skills, which I think they don't translate directly over to podcasting, because there's this whole sort of audio element to it, which, I thought I knew a little bit about audio and recording through microphones and all that, but it is a different game when when it's more conversational and you have a guest on and it is more dialogue driven, as opposed to, just coming off like those 100 days, 100 reels I did lots of pieces to camera with that, but I was able to go back and edit them to my liking, and I could do 20 takes if I didn't like it. But right now we just hit record and we're still going.
We're still going. I mean, we're 8 minutes in. It's funny, you sent me this video last night of you recording an intro for one of your first podcast episodes. Like, what take did it ultimately end up being the one that you're going to ship?
Yeah, I think it took me about 32 takes to just get a 2-minute sort of introducing a little bit about why I was starting the podcast, because it was my first episode that I launched. But it's extremely difficult. I find it hard to, I think especially more with the cameras too, is that I feel like there's nowhere to hide and you kind of have to present it a little bit more. Whereas if it was just audio, maybe I could be laying in my bed and recording it, for example. But I'm presenting something to a camera for people to see as well, which is just another challenge on top of that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think we have different views on that. I mean, before we started recording this, even just talking about, well, is it a video podcast or is it just a podcast? For me, it's a podcast with video added. Now, I acknowledge there are 3 cameras here, but really I'm just talking to you. And I feel that you're talking to me as well, but maybe there is a component where based on your storytelling and the work that you've done, that you've got to, in a way, perform for the camera, which I'm not really worried about. And I think that's a really good thing, that we're coming at this from slightly different angles. And I think you need that, in life. You can't share the exact same viewpoint. And that is the beauty of a podcast. It's like, cool, let's sit down and let's talk about what we believe and why we believe it and how we've come to think those things. So, I don't think there's one right way of doing any of this particularly. I have the things that I've done and I'll talk from that experience. But yeah, right now I feel comfortable in just riffing with you. Like, this is absolutely take 1. And by all accounts, this will be the first one of these that people hear, which is cool. But I've also, had a lot of conversations recorded with this microphone in front of my face. So I do feel comfortable. I hope you feel comfortable, but you'll get more comfort over time, no matter what.
Hey, well, I've been on your podcast twice now. So,
You have, yeah.
You know, I'm a seasoned veteran, I guess.
Yeah. You've definitely been, great on that, and that was probably close to 3 hours total across 2 episodes. So, yeah, but see, the thing is, like, when I was doing that, I was asking you questions about your life, and it's very easy. Well, maybe not very easy, but it's something that you've lived. And so you should be able to call upon those experiences. And the beauty of a podcast is, well, if you get upset or you get emotional, like I had a guy recently on, and yeah, there was tears. And I don't want to make people cry, but if you ask a question that's quite personal, you don't know where it's going to go. And so, you've shared some very personal things on those 2 episodes, and it just goes wherever it goes, man. And that's the beauty of creating. I really feel like the video stuff that we've done together is more refined, and this is the very like authentic, dirtier version, in the nicest way of saying it. Like it's raw. Like this middle camera angle, you can see everything, and I think that's cool.
Yeah, that's just us in the room, nothing else.
That's it, man.
And I will just add on to that. I find it already very difficult to host a podcast as opposed to being a guest, because like you said, you can just ramble on and talk about things that you've lived if you're the guest, but being the host, you really have to, just read the conversation and just kind of direct it to maybe uncover some things that you wanted to, but also just let it flow to wherever you want it to go. And for me, I sort of sometimes struggle to feel like my mind goes blank, 90% of the time when I'm just talking to someone, not because I know I can't listen or anything, but I don't know, that's just my brain works, but it's a skill that I want to get better at, and that's why I'm doing it.
It's good, man. Yeah, the skill, spending time practicing. It's funny because I feel a little bit weird being a guest because I'm happy talking, but talking more than the other person is not something that I'm used to. I'm used to asking a question and then listening and being quiet for most of the time. So, yeah, but no, you're doing great. I'm conscious of not wrapping this up myself because it's your podcast. You're supposed to do that.
Is it time, is it?
We had a rough time. I don't know, but like, no, we're not. We're like 13 minutes in, but it's like, okay, cool. This is where we're at. And yeah, there's no strict rules about this. This is the good thing about it. So yeah, man, excited to see where this goes with you.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think that probably is a good time to end it because I don't know what to ask next. But it's been great having you on. We'll get you on for a few more, I think, because obviously I need a little bit of help, but that's good. We're just learning as we go.
Love it, brother. Thank you so much.